Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing a bit of a thread response to a video I've just seen James Griffiths upload and watched, and it was a very good video concerning album covers which featured faces on the cover of them. Now this was in turn a response video that James made for a guy called Brian at Embryonic Robot, not a channel I was familiar with, but I will link both of their videos down below in the description. So apparently Brian Embryonic Robot made a comment about disliking the cover of the Tears for Fears album, Songs from the Big Chair, and this spurred James on to do a video all about album covers which featured faces on them, both ones he liked and also ones that he didn't. So I just thought that I would continue the thread and do a response. So I've split this into two. I've got 10 albums which feature a face on them that I really like the cover off them, and then I've got 10 which I either dislike or just don't really have much feelings for. So anyway, we will just get going with the 10 that I do rather like. So first off would be McCartney and McCartney 2 here. I just think this is it's a goofy image of Paul, and what really fits this slightly goofy off the wall album, the slightly confused look, I think is I think just really works with this album here, which does have a very playful, not so serious vibe to it. So I think this is one that is actually quite effective. Another one I've always rather liked is Iggy Pop's Lust for Life cover here. Features a very smiley, happy Iggy Pop on the cover there. The music on here is great. Would you say it fits the album? Possibly the title track Lust for Life. You know, it it feels quite upbeat and got a lust for life, so living life to the full thing. Maybe some of the other tracks are a bit darker in tone, and this cover perhaps doesn't quite work, but it is a good cover though. I just think is a good image there. Album very much connected to Lust for Life there is David Bowie's Offering from 1977, which is Heroes here. Again, I just quite like this one because again it's quite the stylish black and white tone, and just the image itself is quite striking. You've got Bowie's differential pupil sizes on show as well, which is quite striking, and just his facial expression, his hand movements really has he gives it very robotic look on here, which I just really like, and again I think really fits the album quite well. This one here is a debut album by Felt Crumbling, the Antiseptic Beauty, which features again another moody black and white shot of band leader Lawrence here. I just think he looks quite cool in it. I like the cropping off the image, that it's it's not taking up the full thing, it's it's being cropped on the top and bottom, and just the lighting on it I think is really good. Again, it's slightly glum facial expression I just think really fits this album. So that's another good one there that I quite like. Again, another one I think what really fits the mood and vibe of the album is Prefab Sprout's protest songs. So this features Wendy Smith, who was the band's backup singer. Again, she's looking away from the camera, and again, it's quite soft tones on it. It's a black and white image that's been recoloured in this purpley colour here. And again, I just like the tone and mood of the image. I think it works. I think it fits the vibe of the album rather well. So that's Prefab Sprout. I'm noticing a little thread here with quite a few black and white photographs, but this one here is another one that I would choose, which is Simon & Garfunkel's Bookends album here. Again, they just look two slightly geeky college kids on it, but I just think it's really good. I like how they're staring directly into the camera on it, and again it's just this stylish image in the matching polo necks, and I just think really works well as the cover of Bookends. Similar one to Bookends, but in colour this time, is the House of Love's debut album here from 1988 here. Again, they're in matching black polo necks on here. You've got Guy Chadwick, Cherry Bickers, and then two other members of the band on the back cover there. Again, I just like the composition like of this image, with guy kind of staring straight at you, very kind of serious look like on his face. They kind of Teddy Bicker's kind of perching over like his shoulder there. I just think works really well like as the album cover. And again, the kind of tones and contrast between the kind of like the bright kind of like faces and then the kind of darker polo shirts, I think really works, and like makes this, I think, like quite a striking and quite a like iconic album cover here. Now I've got a couple here now which do feature a face, but it's a face that isn't one of the band members. So this was so James, I think all of James's examples were ones that featured like a member like off like the band, but here's a couple like which don't, but I think are quite still quite good album covers. So this one is Blur and their debut album Leisure here. So this is taken from a 1950s stock photo like of actually like the full image is quite just, it features two swimmers and they kind of modeling like these rather fetching like swimming caps here. And again, I just think this is a good image. I think I think they've obviously retouched it up a little bit because the colours are very bright, very vibrant like kind of colours on it, and I just think really good. Again, it doesn't really bear much relation to the music like on the album, but I just think it's a good cover. Again, a very colourful cover which does stand out. And I had to show this one as well, which I've always really liked, which is the cover to U2's album War here. Now this features a boy on here called Peter Rowan, who was the brother of a friend like off like the band's, and he features on quite a few of U2's albums. He's on their debut album Boy, and then this was a few years later, so he's slightly more older here, and I think he's also on like their greatest hits album like as well, like, or certainly like one of them. Again, I think this is a good cover which really fits the music, like in this case like off the album, just with his kind of facial expression, his kind of disheveled hair, and the kind of cuts like on like his lips really do evoke a kind of like a wartime sort of photograph like or scene here. So I think like a really good cover shot there. And then last one now out of the 10 that I would say that I like, and I'm not entirely sure if this one would count, but it's Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde here. Now again, it maybe doesn't take up the full extent like off like the cover, and it is part of a wider cover, like this full gatefold is a kind of full shot there like off Bob, looking great, I think, in terms of it just looks cool like in like this image, I think, just with his scarf and his coat and everything. I like it. It's a slightly blurry out of focus like image like as well, like I think like really works like as well, but again not entirely sure like if it counts, but hey, I guess it was a good one to show. Okay, now I've got 10 that I either dislike or I'm just a bit like ambivalent to, really. You notice how like there like quite a few of like my favourites were kind of black and white like images, but I don't exclusively like all sort of like black and white like images. Like there's a few here that I actually would say that I dislike, like that kind of like these kind of black and white moody shots. And the first one here would be the Colourfields album Deception here. Again, Teddy Hall's giving this kind of best kind of moody look, but it just doesn't really work for me. I don't know, it just feels a bit posed like this photo, like again, maybe isn't all imaginative, like when you combine that with the back of the cover, which is the most boring back cover you've ever seen. It just doesn't really lend itself to like an enticing package here. Now, this is one where they've used a still from a music video for the cover. This is Godley and Cremes album, the History Mix Volume 1 here. Now, this is I think this is a US copy of it, because there was a British version that featured a kind of hand-drawn kind of doodle sort of like on the cover, but this one here actually features the stills from the music video of Lol Creme on the front and Kevin Godley like on the back. And again, I just don't think it works like as an album cover. I just think he just again, the facial expression just again isn't really like doing it for me, really. Another kind of black and white kind of moody shot here is Lindsey Buckingham's Law and Order album here. Now this is, I don't like this for a few reasons. I just think he just looks a bit too kind of chiseled and kind of airbrushed kind of shot, a bit like a kind of like an action man kind of figure like on like here. And also the fact that he's kind of topless as well. I just don't really like this cover like all like that much, really. Next one here would be Scott Walker's album Till the Band Comes In, which again for this one I just don't like the lighting on it. It's quite a bad quality photograph. Like basically half his face is kind of like in like darkness. His expression just isn't doing it. He's showing a bit of teeth like on there like as well. And yeah, again, I just don't really think sells the album as something that is interesting or like enticing or like really like makes me want to listen to it. This next one here would be Orange Juice and their self-titled third album called The Orange Juice. Now this one is actually technically, like there's like the spine being there, is actually should be this way, and I get what they're trying to do with this. It's supposed to look like an old kind of sort of camera reel, like off like kind of shots, and it's supposed to give again a kind of sort of 1950s kind of film star kind of like look like to it. But again, the image just seems far too posed for me. I think all of the ones I had in my like list, they felt quite spontaneous kind of like images. This one here again just feels too posed with his kind of leather jacket on, his shades, the kind of perfect quiff there like as well, and yeah, it just again doesn't really work for me like this, like as like the cover. And on the back you just get a slightly more natural photo there like of Edwin and like their drummer ZK and like on like the back there. Now next couple now are all ones where they're not looking directly into the camera, and this is maybe a wee theme here, like of just like I'm just not crazy about like images such as these ones here. So this would be Paul Simon's One Trick Pony album here, and again he's giving this kind of side-eye look like on here, and he's kind of dressed up here like as his character from like the One Trick Pony film, and he just looks like a bit of a loser really like on here with his kind of baseball cap, his kind of toupee like there like as well. I just don't think like it's like a great like image really. This one's a bit similar to the Orange Juice one in terms of like trying to go for a certain style or kind of like emulate a kind of like different era, like or different kind of sort of like playing dress up like a little bit. This is Elvis Costello's album Trust here from 1981, and again with this whole album and the artwork like on the back, they're going for a kind of crooner kind of 1950s kind of look to it, quite very kind of smartly dressed kind of vibe to it, like cool looking, sophisticated, but I just don't think works. And again this cover here where he's kind of looking up like into like the kind of corner, it just isn't working for me. Like I just don't think like is like they definitely could have come up like with a much better cover for this album, which I think is one of Costello's best albums actually. This one here like is a recent reissue that just came out like last year, which is for Johnny Marr and the Healers album Boobs. Like it again, he's giving a bit of side eye, but with just no kind of facial expression really. It just doesn't really work for me. Like this whole cover here, again the back there, he's kind of slightly more kind of direct photo there, but again I just think it's a slightly like a bit like uninspired sort of cover here. They actually changed this cover from what the original album was. I just wish that they'd used like the original cover like on here, which was more of a band shot, and it's just so much better than this. The ultimate one now again maybe doesn't 100% count because it is slightly touched up, and it's more, you could maybe say it's more of a kind of painting or kind of artwork like on here, but it would be Paul Weller's album Illumination here from 2002, and you can definitely tell this is a kind of early 2000s album. It's kind of a weird kind of it looks like a kind of computer generated kind of image of him, and it just doesn't really do the album like any favors. Yeah, the whole cover is just a bit like uninspired like for me. And last one now, maybe a bit of a controversial choice because this is probably this artist's most iconic album, but I would go with John Lennon's Imagine album here. This is again just a cover which I've just never really cared for, to be honest. I think the image is almost too washed out, you know, you can barely make out Lennon like in like the kind of haze like of like the image, and it's kind of again like his facial expression is just so emotionless like on here. It's just not a likable image like for me really, like on like some of like the other ones like in like my liked list which kind of had something about them. This one he just looks completely emotionless. I think this would have been a much better cover, like if like you ask me, like kind of like this like kind of lying down profile shot. This just doesn't really do anything for me. So anyway, yeah, that has been my 20 albums there like that have shown like that have featured faces on them, kind of quite big sort of like faces, and like ones like which I either really like and really think that they work, or ones like, as I said, like a few there like at the end like which just didn't really do much for me. So no, I hope you have enjoyed the video. Like I said, I will link like both James's thread sort of like video, and also a link to like Embryonic Robot's channel as well, who kind of spurred off like this whole thing. But yeah, I hope you have, I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.